Thank you. First of all, I've got another idea for you. How do you like the sound of this? Senator Sean Hannity. I like it. I mean, look, a 5-year contract, 6-year term. I know which one I would choose for Sean. Let's bring him to Washington. I want to open tonight by telling you a story that I first heard told by a man named Emo Phillips. A story about a time when Emo was crossing the Golden Gate Bridge alone one night. It was late at night, no one else was on the bridge. He got halfway across the bridge, enjoying himself, and discovered that he was in fact not alone. There was somebody else on the bridge, only the other person was standing on the edge of the bridge, outside the guardrail, hanging on with one hand. Emo could tell this guy was in trouble. He knew that the man was thinking about jumping, and he thought, I've got to stop and help him. He asked the only question that came to mind immediately. He stopped and asked the man, "Do you believe in God?" And the man said, "Yes." And Emo said, "Me too." And Emo said, "Are you a Christian?" And the man said, "Yes." And Emo said, "Me too." Emo asked, "Well, what denomination?" "I'm a Baptist." "Me too." "Are you a Northern Baptist or a fundamentalist, a Northern Baptist or a Southern Baptist?" And the man said, "I'm a Northern Baptist." Emo said, "Me too." This was really going well. "Are you a Northern Fundamentalist Baptist or a Northern Reformed Baptist?" "Well, I'm a Northern Fundamentalist Baptist." "Me too." "Are you a Northern Fundamentalist Baptist Conference of 1857 or Northern Fundamentalist Baptist Conference of 1812? And the man said, "I'm a Northern Fundamentalist Baptist Conference of 1857. And Emo said, "Die, you heretic," and pushed him off the bridge. My fellow conservatives, in 2016, we have to be focused more on embracing converts than casting off heretics. Join me in that cause tonight. So yes, it's time to sharpen more pencils than knives. And remember that anger is not an agenda, frustration is not a platform, and cynicism certainly is not conservative. The way I see it, the real question heading into this Saturday, and the real question heading into November 2016, is not whether any particular candidate running for president will be up to his job. Rather, the real question will be whether the conservatives, those of us who will choose the next president of the United States, that's up to you and me, whether we will be up to our job. You see, we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned by political candidates who don't keep their promises. And we've been conditioned by campaign consultants and by Washington elites who peddle negativity and trade in discouragement to settle for far, far less than we deserve. Should we do that? No, don't settle. Expect more. It's time for us as conservatives to think long and hard about the kind of president we're ready for. So don't get fooled. Don't settle for hype and for spin. No, demand clarity from our candidates. Don't settle for sweeping generalities and bumper sticker slogans. Demand specific proposals, because a true conservative will be prepared to give you those. Don't settle for a candidate who thinks he's a king. Expect a president who knows, as we all know, that power belongs to the people. Don't settle for a sideshow. Expect substance. Don't settle for promises of big deals concocted with very few people at the table. Certainly don't settle for the kind of 2,242-page spending bill negotiated in secret. In my experience, nothing good ever comes from deals like those. Expect a president who will bring the American people back into the process, which belongs to them after all. Don't settle for a president who will be overbearing at home and apologetic abroad. Expect a president who will protect both your security and your liberty, understanding that those two are not in conflict with each other. We can defend both at once. Don't settle for less than you deserve. So, who really matters? Who can make a difference? Who can turn this country around? Who can we trust? I see some familiar names out there. Now, while it might be easy to focus our attention on who is in the race, on who's on the stage, who's backstage, who's on the screen, who's on the campaign bus, and you know, that focus has nearly swallowed up the who that really matters the most. And who really matters the most? Well, it's bold mothers who stand up for their families, for the moral protection of their homes. It's courageous fathers who teach. It's students who are always searching for the true answers. It's neighbors who lift neighbors. It's believers who know that their rights come not from any government, but from Almighty God, even the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There's going to be a lot of discussion about who matters and about what matters, but we cannot lose sight of who and what matters the very most. Who can make a difference now? Well, let me tell you, it's workers in businesses who will become owners of businesses. It's waiters who will become restaurateurs, musicians who become composers, programmers who become high-tech entrepreneurs. And perhaps there are among us listeners who will, quite literally, become leaders for tomorrow. My fellow conservatives, if we don't find ourselves in this campaign for president, we will not have a president who stands for us at all. For the next president isn't in the boardroom. Well, we are. He isn't in the classroom. We are. He's not in a factory or in a cubicle. We are. He's not in the field. He's not behind the wheel. We are. He's not in the grocery store or sitting at the kitchen table with our families. We are. You see, it's not his voice that speaks for us. We, of course, speak for ourselves. That is the voice every person in our nation needs to hear. It is our voice that needs to be heard with a microphone, with a megaphone, and with a smartphone. Ours is the voice of the American conservative that echoes down through the ages, calling for the conservative principles that have fostered the development of the greatest civilization the world has ever known. You see, because free markets work. And in fact, free markets have done more to lift more people out of poverty than anything else ever has in human history or ever will, certainly more than any government ever could. Limited government isn't just a good idea. It's a constitutional right, and a right to which all members of Congress and all presidents have sworn an oath to uphold, protect, and defend. And balance of power is a necessary protection. So it's your voice that's speaking out for these things, saying, don't settle. When we expect more, we will do more, and we will become more, not just as individuals, but as an entire nation. Conservatives who expect more will carry this country into what will become an extraordinary future. You see, we have to remember, we've been here before as a nation. We've done this. Those early patriots didn't settle for tyranny, taxes, and intrusion. Reagan conservatives didn't settle for the status quo. They didn't settle for what people told them was possible at the time. They expected more. They expected freedom. And then they acted, doing their part so that we could have a chance to do our part today, right now in 2016. We expect more. We expect more great things out of conservatives all over America, starting with South Carolinians this week, and then with Nevadans next week. And it's time to expect more out of ourselves. It's time to do more. It's time to become more of what conservative principles enable us to become. You see, because that's why we're conservative. That's why we believe in the Constitution. We believe in freedom not just because it sounds great, but because of the great things that free people do. They help each other. They help the poor get out of poverty. They help expand the middle class. It's time to expect and to demand the country we deserve. And for that matter, it's time for us to expect the Supreme Court we deserve. The stakes here are too high, higher than they've ever been. We cannot and we will not settle for another liberal on the Supreme Court of the United States. So what does that mean for us here today? What can we do about it? Well, a lot. We must expect a proven conservative. Not somebody who just claims to be today because it's convenient, but a proven conservative who has been at the front of the battle and has the battle scars to prove it. That's the kind of conservative that we need to elect as the next President of the United States and to appoint the next Supreme Court Justice. My fellow conservatives, we cannot settle anymore. It's time for us to unite, expand, and expect more. It's time for us to raise our voices. It is time to expect victory.